Umbrellas by Barbara Juster Espison. Umbrellas bloom along our street like flowers on a stem, and almost everyone I meet is holding one of them. Under my umbrella top, splashing through the town, I wonder why the tulips hold umbrellas upside down. Hello everyone, this is Miss Lewis reading you a poem called Umbrellas. Now in this poem, the poet is comparing umbrellas that she sees along the street to flowers. The handle of the umbrella is the stem and the umbrella is the petals. At the end of the poem, she does a little bit of a reverse comparison and she sees tulips and think, they remind her of upside down umbrellas. So today in poetry, we're going to be thinking about how we can use comparisons in our poetry. For example, I might take an everyday object like a stapler and think, what does it remind me of? And I might transform my stapler into an alligator. Or I might think about my whisk as I'm cooking and stirring my ingredients and think, you know what, my whisk is like a tornado. And all of a sudden I have a major weather event going on inside my mixing bowl. I might compare my brush to a prickly porcupine, or my book to a good friend that I'm so happy to see again. So poets often use comparison as a strategy in their poetry. And to get warmed up with this, I'm going to read you two poems, and I want you to be seeing if you can hear the comparison that the poet is making. The first poem is called First Snow by Marie Louise Allen. Snow makes whiteness where it falls. The bushes look like popcorn balls, and places where I always play look like somewhere else today. So you may have heard the comparison, and if not, I'm going to show you the poem in written form, and I've underlined some clues to help. First snow. Snow makes whiteness where it falls. The bushes look like popcorn balls, and places where I always play look like somewhere else today. So, in this poem, which is about that wonderful feeling you have when you see snow transforming your neighborhood, the poet compares the bushes, the snow-covered bushes, to popcorn balls. I don't know if you've ever had a popcorn ball, but it's kind of like candy popcorn in a ball shape. And can't you just see it? The snow-covered bush like a big giant popcorn ball. That's the really fun thing about using comparisons in your poetry is then the next time I see a snow-covered bush, I might look at it a little differently. Or the next time I see an umbrella, I might think, there goes a flower. So let's try another poem and see if you can hear that comparison. Sleeping Bag by Christine O'Connell George. It's so cold outside. I'm getting dressed inside my sleeping bag. I wriggle, scooch, scrunch, and jiggle. Flop, front flips, back flips. I'm a caterpillar in a cozy cloth cocoon that zips. Okay, let's take a look at the poem in written form. I wonder if you also noticed that this poet uses some really great movement words in her poem too. So, it's so cold outside. I'm getting dressed inside my sleeping bag. I wriggle, scooch, scrunch, and jiggle. Flop, front flips, back flips. I'm a caterpillar in a cozy cloth cocoon that zips. So in this poem, the poet is comparing herself to a caterpillar. Here's the key line, I'm a caterpillar. So the poet could have said, I'm like a caterpillar, or it's fine to just make the comparison, I'm a caterpillar. And not only is the poet comparing herself to a caterpillar, she's also comparing the sleeping bag, you guessed it, to a cocoon. This is a fun poem to think about, being inside that sleeping bag and feeling like a caterpillar in a cocoon. A little bit of what making comparisons is about in poetry is just pretending. Pretending you're a caterpillar at the cocoon, pretending that that stapler is an alligator or that the whisk is a tornado. So that's what we're going to be doing with our poetry this week, is finding one thing you want to write about and comparing it to something it reminds you of. You can do this in one of two ways. Let's take a look at the starting point for our poems this week. So you're going to do your poem using whatever it is that you want to write about and comparing it to something else. Back to my stapler, I could say, a stapler is like an alligator. I could also say, my stapler is an alligator. Both of these will do. In poetry, we talk about comparisons when we use the word like or as a simile, and we talk about comparisons where we just say the comparison as a metaphor. Either way will work. What's important is making a connection between one thing and something it reminds you of. So to give this a try this week, I wrote a poem, and I took my water bottle and thought, what does my water bottle remind me of? So I'll share my poem with you now. My water bottle is an ocean, swirling, whirling, swoosh. I tip the ocean towards my mouth. Waves crash into the shore. Ah. Okay. So I took my water bottle and I thought, what does it remind me of? And I was reminded of an ocean. Now I could have said my water bottle is like an ocean. I actually chose to just say my water bottle is an ocean. But I didn't just stop there. Then I used some movement words, a sound word, to really convince my reader of the connection between my water bottle and an ocean. And I don't know about you, but when I read poetry with comparisons, now I see things in a different way, which is part of a wonderful reason to read poetry to begin with. So that's what your challenge is this week, is to find something you want to write about. Think, what does it remind me of? Write out that initial comparison line, and then add strong language, sound words, movement words, anything you want to really describe the connection that you've made. I've been enjoying your poetry so much, and as we build these strategies, our poems are going to become richer and more descriptive. So this week, your poem can be about anything, but you need to compare it to something else and have some form of comparison in your poem. Good luck with this, and I look forward to reading about the way you see things in your world.